The Landlord's Tale by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The Rhyme of Sir Christopher. It was Sir Christopher Gardiner, Knight of the Holy Sepulchre, from merry England over the sea, who stepped upon this continent, as if his august presence lent a glory to the colony. You should have seen him in the street of the little Boston of Winthrop's time, his rapier dangling at his feet, doublet and hose and boots complete, Prince Rupert hat with ostrich plume, gloves that exhaled a faint perfume, luxuriant curls and air sublime, and superior manners now obsolete. He had a way of saying things that made one think of courts and kings, and lords and ladies of high degree, so that not having been at court seemed something very little short of treason or lese majesty. Such an accomplished knight was he. His dwelling was just beyond the town, at what he called his country seat. For careless of fortune, smile or frown, and weary grown of the world and its ways, he wished to pass the rest of his days in a private life and a calm retreat. But a double life was the life he led, and while professing to be in search of a godly course and willing, he said, nay, anxious to join the Puritan church, he made of all this but small account, and passed his idle hours instead with roystering Morton or merry Mount, that pettifogger from Furnival's inn, lord of misrule and right and sin, who looked on the wine when it was red. This country seat was little more than a cabin of logs, but in front of the door a modest flower bed thickly sown with sweet alsatium and columbine made those who saw it at once divine, and touch of some other hand than his own. At first it was whispered, and then it was known, that he in secret was harbouring there a little lady with golden hair, whom he called his cousin, but whom he had wed in the Italian manner, as men said, and great was the scandal everywhere. But worse than this was the vague surmise, though none could vouch for it or aver, that the Knight of the Holy Sepulchre was only a papist in disguise. And the more to embitter their bitter lives, and the more to trouble the public mind, came letters from England from two other wives, whom he had courteously left behind. Both of them letters of such a kind as made a governor hold his breath, the one imploring him straight to send the husband home that he might amend, the other asking his instant death as the only way to make an end. The wary governor deemed it right, when all this wickedness was revealed, to send his warrant signed and sealed, and take the body of the knight. Armed with this mighty instrument, the marshal, mounting his gallant steed, rode forth from town at the top of his speed, and followed by all his bailiffs bold, as if on high achievement bent, to storm some castle or stronghold, challenge the warders on the wall, and seize in his ancestral hall a robber baron grim and old. But when through all the dust and heat he came to Sir Christopher's country seat, no knight he found, nor warder there, but the little lady with the golden hair, who was gathered in the bright sunlight the sweet alsatium and columbine, while gallant Christopher, all so gay, being forewarned through the postern gate of his castle wall, had tripped away, and was keeping a little holiday in the forest that bounded his estate. Then, as a trusty squire and true, the marshal searched the castle through, not crediting what the lady said, searched from cellar to garret in vain, and finding no knight, came out again, and arrested a golden damsel instead, and bore her in triumph into the town, while from her eyes the tears rolled down, on the sweet Alcium and Columbine, that she held in her fingers white and fine. The governor's heart was moved to see so fair a creature caught within the snares of Satan and of sin, and he read her a little homily on the folly and wickedness of the lives of women half cousins and half wives. But seeing that naught his words availed, he sent her away in a ship that sailed for merry England over the sea, to the other two wives in the old country, to search her further, since he had failed to come at the heart of the mystery. Meanwhile Sir Christopher wandered away through pathless woods for a month and a day, shooting pigeons and sleeping at night, with the noble savage who took delight in his feathered hat and his velvet vest, his gun and his rapier and the rest. But as soon as the noble savage heard that a bounty was offered for this gay bird, he wanted to slay him out of hand, and bring in his beautiful scalp for a show, like the glossy head of a kite or crow, until he was made to understand that wanted the bird alive, not dead. Then he followed him whithersoever he fled, through forest and field, and hunted him down, and brought him prisoner into the town. Alas, it was a rueful sight to see this melancholy knight in such a dismal and hapless case, his hat deformed by stain and dent, his plumage broken, his doublet rent, his beard and flowing locks forlorn, matted, dishevelled, and unshorn, his boots with dust and mire bespent, but dignified in his disgrace, and wearing an unblushing face, and thus before the magistrate he stood to hear the doom of fate. In vain he strove with wonted ease to modify and extenuate his evil deeds in church and state, for gone was now his power to please, and his pompous words had no more weight than feathers flying in the breeze. With suavity equal to his own, the governor lent a patient ear to the speech evasive and high-flown, in which he endeavoured to make clear that colonial laws were too severe when applied to a gallant cavalier, a gentleman born and so well known, and accustomed to move in a higher sphere. All this the Puritan governor heard, and deigned in answer never a word, but in summary manner shipped away in a vessel that sailed from Salera Bay, the splendid and famous cavalier, with his Rupert hat and his potpourri, to merry England over the sea, as being unmeet to inhabit here. Thus ended the rhyme of Sir Christopher, Knight of the Holy Sepulchre, the first who furnished this barren land with apples of Sodom and ropes of sand.